Every night, your mind builds a different future. A business you'll start, a book you'll write, a body you'll finally take care of, a life that feels bigger than the one you're living now. For a few minutes, it feels real. Then, morning comes. You scroll, you answer messages, you tell yourself you'll begin after work, next Monday, next month, next year. And somehow, the dream stays exactly where it was. If you've ever wondered why you can imagine a completely different life, but still struggle to take one small step toward it, this isn't because you're lazy. The answer is far more uncomfortable than that. Because sometimes, the people with the biggest dreams are the ones most afraid of making them real. Imagine someone named Alex. Every conversation sounds the same. I'm going to launch my own company. I'm going to travel the world. One day, people will know my name.
When friends ask how it's going, Alex smiles. I'm still planning. Weeks become months. Months become years. The dream never disappears. It actually gets bigger, more detailed, more perfect. But nothing changes. Maybe you've met someone like Alex. Or maybe you're quietly realizing this story feels familiar. Here's something strange about the human mind. Your brain doesn't always separate imagination from progress. When you spend hours imagining success, talking about it, watching motivational videos, planning every tiny detail, you experience little emotional rewards. Tiny hits of satisfaction, enough to make you feel like you're moving, even when you're standing completely still. It's like sitting in a parked car with the engine running. It sounds like you're going somewhere, but you're not moving an inch. Pause for a second. Think about the last dream that made your heart race. Now ask yourself one question. Have you spent more time imagining it or actually building it? That answer might explain more than you realize. But imagination isn't the real problem. Fear is. Not the obvious kind. The quiet kind. The kind that hides behind, I'm waiting for the right time. Because starting changes everything. As long as the dream stays in your head, it's perfect. It can't fail. It can't disappoint you. No one can judge it. The moment you begin, reality enters the picture. People might ignore your work. Your first attempt might be terrible. You might discover you're not as naturally talented as you hoped. And for someone who has protected a dream for years, that possibility feels devastating. So the brain makes a clever trade. It chooses endless preparation over painful uncertainty. It calls it being responsible, being careful, doing more research, waiting until you're ready. But underneath all those reasonable excuses, one sentence quietly repeats itself. What if I'm not enough? Most people think confidence comes before action, but that's backwards. Confidence is usually something you earn after surviving discomfort, not before it. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. You didn't wait until you felt fearless. You became fearless because you kept falling. Dreams work the same way. The first step rarely feels inspiring. It feels awkward, messy, embarrassing. That's normal. Here's another hidden reason big dreamers often stay stuck. Their identity becomes attached to their potential. People tell them they're smart, creative, full of promise. They start believing their value comes from what they could become, not what they're actually doing. And that's dangerous. Because if they try and fail, they worry they'll lose the identity they've protected for years. So they remain the person with incredible potential, forever almost becoming, never arriving. What are you protecting? Your dream or your image? Those two things aren't always on the same side. There's another trap
almost nobody talks about: perfectionism.
It doesn't always look like wanting everything flawless. Sometimes it looks like endless waiting. I'll start when I know enough, when I have better equipment, when life becomes less stressful, when I'm finally ready. But readiness is a moving target. Every time you reach it, it quietly moves a little farther away. Because perfection isn't the goal. Safety is. Your brain isn't trying to help you succeed. It's trying to protect you from emotional pain. And staying still often feels safer than risking disappointment. Ironically, that safety slowly becomes its own prison. Years pass. Opportunities disappear. Regret grows heavier. Not because life was impossible, but because comfort slowly disguised itself as patience. Look at almost anyone who built something meaningful. A writer publishes a terrible first draft. An entrepreneur launches a business nobody notices. An artist creates work that barely gets seen. They weren't fearless. They simply stopped treating failure as evidence of who they were. Instead, they treated it as information. That's the difference. People who stay stuck ask, "What if I fail?" People who move forward ask, "What can failure teach me?" Same fear, different relationship with it. And maybe that's the biggest realization of all. Your dream isn't asking you to become extraordinary overnight. It's asking you to become slightly uncomfortable today. One phone call, one page, one workout, one application, one honest conversation, one tiny action repeated more times than your excuses. Because dreams don't disappear all at once. They fade quietly. Every promise you make to yourself and don't keep teaches your brain something. It whispers, "Maybe my words don't matter." But the opposite is true too. Every small promise you keep, no matter how insignificant, begins rebuilding trust. Not in the world, in yourself. And self-trust is far more powerful than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Self-trust stays. So if you've spent years dreaming big while feeling stuck, don't hate yourself for it. Don't call yourself lazy. Don't decide you're broken. Instead, ask a different question. What small action would make tomorrow's version of me proud? Not impressed, not amazed, just proud. Because your future isn't built by the size of your dream. It's built by the smallest action you're willing to repeat when nobody is watching. The life you imagine is still possible, but it will never meet you inside your thoughts. At some point, you'll have to leave the safety of imagination and let reality decide what you're truly capable of. That first step won't feel magical. It probably won't even feel important. But one day, you'll look back and realize it was the moment your dream finally stopped being a fantasy and quietly became your life.